He's Rich Eisen, and he joins us on the program. Super Bowl 47 review with Troy Aikman and Joe Montana, plus Super Bowl 47 TV coverage review with the Academy Award-winning director Steven Soderbergh. RichEisen.NFL.com. Richie Rich joins us now. Hi, Rich.
DP, I've heard you talk about the worst-case scenario.
Yep.
If you need a fill-in host Monday, I'm here.
If I died,
yeah,
how long would it take before you called my boss and say?
Oh, I wouldn't do that. I think they'd reach out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate to tell you.
Have you already talked to him?
About the worst-case scenario for you?
Yes.
No. We're all pulling for you, Dan.
Thank you.
Listen, I hope it goes well. And are you going to take deer antler spray so you can get back to the mic as soon as possible to help your recovery time?
I may not. I don't know.
I don't know. I think you should go all natural.
No, I don't want to do that.
A little stem, a little ice.
No, whatever it takes. So I'm going to get some HGH, deer antler spray. Baby, I'm going to have a party.
You should rub that. You rub on the. Is it rub on the clear or you ingest the clear?
Oh, act like you don't know. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't care who she is. She can rub on the clear or the cream. She's going to be my Mr. Miyagi. You rub on the clear and the cream.
Yeah.
Cream on, cream off.
That's the way to do it, Dan.
Okay.
Seriously, focus.
Now, we had somebody called in last hour and said that you and Troy Aikman said a flag should not have been thrown on the final pass play to Michael Crabtree.
Right.
I had Rodney Harrison on, former defensive back, and Jim Diopoulos, former NFL official, who both said you have to call a penalty, even though it's the final minute of the Super Bowl. You have to call it the same there as you do in the first minute.
It's got nothing to do, in my mind, of whether it's the last second of the Super Bowl or not. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were, sure, there was contact. I absolutely agree with you.
No, there was holding.
Contact. Well, Dan, listen. Every single analyst that I had on my set, Dion, Irvin, Falk, Sapp was the only one who said there should have been a penalty. Everyone else said that there wasn't. And these things, I saw it, and I just thought that there shouldn't have been a penalty called on that play.
But you have a defensive back, and defensive backs would never say, hey, throw a penalty. Rodney
That's
said...
That's not true. Dion says that all the time.
Yeah, but Dion didn't say it here. Rodney did in the moment, and Jim Diopoulos, an NFL official for 11 years, said you have to make that call.
For those 49er fans who are up in arms about this sort of thing, just the two things that I have to say are A, the 49ers made the Super Bowl on a questionable call or non-call at the end of the NFC Championship game, and these things even themselves out, unfortunately. And two, if you believe that it should have been a penalty, Rod Woodson, one of the many great stories I've heard him tell, says Chuck Noll always told the Steelers before a game, play better than the ref's ref. Play better than the ref's ref.
Well, I'm not saying the Niners could have won.
But that's it, Dan. 28-6.
Yeah, I get it.
28-6.
Doesn't matter, Rich.
You open yourself up to those sorts of things at the end of the game.
No. You still got to call a call. No matter what the score is, you call the call.
There should have been a penalty on
Well, they should call it. That's all. Now, if you say that's consistent with how they called the Super Bowl, I mean, you had an official get pushed. That's an automatic ejection on that kid. Automatic.
Well, not just that, too. I mean, if Joe Flacco was Brady or Manning, that hit out of bounds would have absolutely been called. I mean, you could go on and on about that sort of thing.
But you can't say because they didn't call this that they shouldn't have called that. And that's what you're doing. I'm saying you can call all of those.
I thought that there should not have been a penalty called on that play.
Okay. We'll disagree.
That's what I thought.
We'll disagree.
We can agree to disagree, Dan.
All right.
But that would be sad if this is our last
conversation. This might be it.
I know. You know what I mean? So I feel like I should soft pedal more than I usually do.
The blackout issues for CBS. And USA Today was doing an article, and they called Paulie to see if I would have a comment on it. And I said, until you're in the moment.
Of course not.
How can I'm not going to be critical of James Brown and how he handled it, Jim Nantz, unless I was in the moment and I said, okay, we should have done this or they could have done that. I don't even know.
Well, all I thought of is Thursday night football. What would have happened if that happened to us on Thursday night football? If Nestler and Mayock's mics had gone down on live television, and our set had been folded up, which we've got an accordion-like set. It had been folded up for halftime already, and we had gone off on our business for third quarter. And sometimes most of us are chilling in the, like the bullpen area, the green room as they call it sometimes, where there's very little green about it. is we're just hanging out there, and some of us are a little bit, one of them down the hall, somebody might be upstairs, and then just to rally the troops and get everybody together and get the set going and then go, that would have taken quite some time. But I bet every single network's going to have a blackout plan from now on.
Because Fox with New York next year, you should have a news element to it, no matter what, because you get all of your network tentacles involved. Everybody wants to be involved in the Super Bowl. You get live, local, late breaking. You should get Brian Williams in there with the nightly news. So you should have somebody who's there. Normally, Matt Lauer's at the White House interviewing the president. So you could have a news element that's there just in case. That was the only thing that surprised me. Armin Kanteyan was working for CBS doing a story on the Super Bowl coverage, and he was up in the control room there. And I thought that they could have used him. That was the only criticism, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Was to use their news gathering individuals.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, I still have not seen it, obviously having been there and just sitting and staring at the lights and wondering when they were going to come back on.
Well, the NFL did not serve its partners because it did not tell CBS what was going on.
I think
that's
they were
unfair.
too busy trying to find out
Oh,
what was going
please.
on.
You can have one guy, Rich, who can say, look,
I guess.
You got a spokesperson who can tell you got 80, 90, 100 million people watching.
Yeah.
They could have served their partner a little bit better there to say, here's some information. We're working on it. It's going to be 17 minutes.
I would dare say that everybody involved is now going to have a blackout plan from now on. Every single individual that was like, okay, now let's get back to the third quarter of this big game and see what can happen, and get caught up in that, as obviously everybody should. Just that there's always going to be somebody pulled back. Just in case. There's going to be a huge just-in-case plan for every Super Bowl moving forward.
He's Rich Eisen, who may take over for me if all doesn't go well on Friday, joining us on the Dan Patrick Show. Here was a serious topic, and it was brought up by the Danettes earlier today. We were watching somebody who had a bald spot and, almost looked like they were the San Diego Padre. And so, at what point do you say, because you shave your head.
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. I cut it. I don't
okay, you cut it that way.
I mean, if you want to get down to the brass tacks.
Okay, but you have a Jason Statham type look.
Sure. Okay, I'll take that.
Okay, that's the nicest thing I've ever said to you. But
sure.
But at what point do you say I'm comfortable doing that?
This is the curve. This is the 12-6 curveball you're snapping.
Yes, I am. This is a Burt Blyleven curveball right here.
Well, it's a gradual process, Dan. It's one of those it is what it is type processes, and I just thank the Lord. I've got a beautiful wife and a family that really just appreciates what I've got and who I am. And
yeah, but you look good with short hair.
Yeah,
like you're able to pull it off. But would you have gone hairpiece?
No. Can never do that. The first few weeks that we were on NFL Network is when things began to start for me.
What do you mean?
Well, it just began to start going.
Back.
Yes. How was that, by the way? I'm not to change the subject, but how was that?
Chris Berman stopping by. I think everybody at the mothership was nervous I was going to bash the mothership, and I said, no,
you're better than that.
I have nothing to say. I mean, I'm not going to bash anything to Chris Berman.
Right.
I have no reason to do that. I'm indebted to Chris and Bob Lee and Tom Meese. They should have named buildings after those guys at the mothership.
Exactly. Yeah, you're better than that. But so when I first got here, that's when it began to go, and they just tried to use like some black shoe polish.
I know. They did that on my bald spot.
They got in there.
They sprinkle it like pepper.
I'm like, no, this is it. I am what I am, and I'm proud of it. And it's it certainly will help when I run the 40. I'll be more aerodynamic in about 3 weeks' time from now.
But see, these are things, though, with vanity, ego, and you get on TV, and all of a sudden you go, you know what, do I put a little paint in my hair?
No.
And then you do, and then you go, boy, that looks terrible.
Not good.
And then if you're going to go bald, you can't go comb over.
No, you can't do that.
Did you ever think comb over?
No. I don't have that. I don't even have enough for the comb over.
Who was that? Bill Murray's character in Kingpin?
I just tweeted that out the other day because I saw Kingpin the other day. Big Ern McCracken.
Oh, man.
Could be the funniest movie character of all time. I mean, I know I'm talking about Judge Smails, but I think he's up there with Judge Smails of Caddyshack. He's up there with with all the best. No question about it. But that's Big Earn McCracken. It's certainly the best comb-over in movie history.
I love Big Earn. So the Super Bowl 47 review with Troy Aikman and Joe Montana and Steven Soderbergh.
Soderbergh hits he hits on the blackout coverage and he sat there and he took notes. He took his job of podcast sports media critic very seriously.
Here's something I did not know. Catherine Bigelow, who did The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30.
Mm-hmm.
You know the other great movie that she was part of?
Oh yeah, what was it? Back in the day, right?
Yeah. Even Paulie is stuck. Paulie, when I tell you this, you're going to be floored.
It wasn't Fast Times.
No.
It's something similar to that.
Something similar, but here's Catherine Bigelow with these great movies about the war, and she had sort of a turf war. Had to do with the former football player. Had to do with sports to a certain degree.
What was it?
Point Break.
Point Break, that's right.
Catherine Bigelow. You know, she worked with another great actor in Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Point Break.
There you go. See?
She went. Was that the prequel to The Hurt Locker? Unbeknownst to us at the time.
Yeah. Who knew that's
the
where
Hurt Locker prequel was Point Break. That's movie history right there, Dan. So you're going next level before you go under the knife. That's just you being you, man.
All of this Trivial Pursuit stuff, I'm just throwing it out there in case I don't come back.
What was the wedge you could nail in Trivial Pursuit more than any other? Was it the sports one?
Yeah.
Outside of the sports one.
Music.
Yeah, I would go entertainment too. The science wedge, it was death for me. I could never do that.
But here's the problem.
The green wedge was the killer.
Trivial Pursuit, and we'd always do it Christmas or Thanksgiving, and I never wanted to play. So then, because you don't want to get the sports question wrong, because then, my brothers-in-law, it'd be like, in that heavy New York accent, they'd be like, you don't know anything about sports? What's wrong with you?
That's what I get in my friends group every time I lose a fantasy football playoff week.
Yeah.
What do I know? I don't know anything.
All right.
But you got to put it on the line sometimes, Dan. As you're doing tomorrow. Listen, I'm very, very proud of you to recognize something going on with your shoulder, taking care of it when you can. Sort of a little bit of a downtime right after the Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
Before March Madness really kicks in, you found the sweet spot in the schedule.
Yep.
And I'm proud of you. Just take care of this thing, and you'll be fine. And
I don't know.
If not, I'll be more than happy to pick up the slack. And be there for you because I always am. I'm part of your safety net. I'm your safety net. Just let you know that.
Team player.
That's me. There may be an I in Rich and Eisen, but I'm there for you.
Thank you, Rich.
And seriously, I know a good deer antler spray guy if you need it after you're through. Get you back.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, DP.
That's Rich Eisen. His podcast, TV show, and maybe doing the Dan Patrick Show. Who knows?